So, hope all is well. Lesson 2 is all about why are we going to do lead generation. I'll just give some examples of the power of lead generation in general. So, every market usually has about 4 segments. One, people looking to buy now, people that are gathering information to solve their problems, people that are problem aware but not really trying to solve it, and people that are unaware of the problem but might be a potential client. Actually, most people try to go for the segment of people looking to buy now. So there's a lot of competition there. But with lead generation, you can tap into all of the segments actually, and which is a much bigger audience. And that actually also means that your Facebook ads are going to be much more easy to scale, much more easy to find people and potential customers. Just to put it into perspective, I have here an image. I personally don't completely agree with the exact numbers here, but it does give the idea very well, and the principle in general. So here you see the different segments where 3% is looking to buy now, 17% is information gathering mode, 20% is problem aware, and 60% is not problem aware. These numbers come from conversion rates in general, but conversion rates do differ a lot also in different niches. It differs a bit, but it's definitely true that the top one of people that are looking to buy now in a specific niche is the smallest number. And with lead generation, like I said, you can use you can get all of these people. You can get people that are looking to buy now and have them buy your product if they like what they see. And you can show them more information about your product, getting to know you. You can make them aware about the problem, and you can even, you can talk about everything surrounding all of these different segments. So that's very powerful. It's just the best way to scale, in my opinion. Well, not always, but it's just really powerful. Just to put it into an analogy, many of you guys will know this analogy already, but let's say if I want to go and marry a person, and let's say in this situation, marrying is the sale, and I walk on the street and I see someone and it's like, potential person to marry, right? I say hello, and then I just pass by and maybe have a conversation and pass by. But I need to have her contact information to even continue a conversation with her, to even have the chance of getting a relationship, let alone asking the person to marry, right? So, that's why, just like marrying, like some people might want to marry you right away. Like I've had some places where you go in the world, you will get asked that, to marry right away, but in general, maybe when you're famous you get that also, but in general, you first need to get to know the person, right? So that's also just lead generation in an analogy. Of course, marrying is a bit of an exaggerated example, but the principle is the same. Before going in for a sale, you need to create a connection and a relationship. This is not always the case with, like, for example, with e-commerce or low investment or low risk types of products, but you get the point, I hope. Another reason why it's good to do lead generation is because you have more place to tackle objections like time, trust, and money. Because time, trust, and money is actually usually the biggest objections that people have when it comes to buying your product. You can tackle the trust objection, and you can tackle time and money to a certain extent as well with nice offers when you can always contact them, which you can after they give their information. And with lead generation, you can contact them at a later date, offering them things that you didn't think of before, that you now know is an objection. Usually this happens actually a lot because, you have one offer and you sell one thing, and then you build your email list and you find like, oh, but they're actually struggling with this and this also, or these are their objections. And you adjust your product or service based on the needs of the customer, of the potential customer. So to create value. For example, if I would sell a course and I find out that people don't want to buy it because they don't have enough time to follow and implement the course, for example, I could spend time on making a done for you service. Actually, I've done that, as you know, for the past years, every day, all day, Facebook ads. But I could, like in this example, I could give them a done for you service if they don't have the time. And this would tackle the objection of time, of course. Or if I would have a course but time and money is a problem, I could make a shorter but more fundamental course for a cheaper price. Or if money is a problem, I could make a payment plan, for example. Or if trust is low, I can offer a guarantee. There are so many situations like this. There's many examples that can be given here. And of course, time, trust, and money is not the only objection. And there's a lot of times you will want to solve their problems in a different way or have different offers. The point is you can reach out to them whenever you want with your adjusted IDs to give them value. Another advantage of lead generation is something called the foot in the doorstep. This is something I learned in uni when I was, because I have a bachelor in psychology, and the foot in the doorstep is basically a technique where you start with a modest request and then follow up later with a larger request, that you then can increase your chances of succeeding with the larger request. So in one of the studies from the author's original paper, which is down below at the sources here, they found that asking residents to put up a small drive carefully sign in their yard, the foot in the door, and returning later to ask them to put up a larger sign was vastly more successful, 76% compliance, compared to asking residents to display a larger sign from the start, less than 20%. Yeah, psychologists have put up a number of theories how this actually works. One of the more popular theories suggests that when a person complies with a small request, the compliance changes the person's self-image, or it actually empowers the person's self-image. I wouldn't say necessarily change, it empowers it. So, for example, when a homeowner in the Friedman and Fraser study below here agreed to display the small "Be a safe driver" sign, he or she might have started seeing herself more as someone who cares a lot about road safety. And a person who cares a lot about road safety would probably be willing to put up a larger sign of drive carefully as well, even if it's not the most attractive sign. It comes down to that people like to align their thoughts and actions. So if somebody did an action that is not completely integrated with their self-identity yet, or not, well, it's maybe integrated there already, but not completely, they will adjust their thoughts and identity to their actions a little bit. It's not that all actions come after thoughts. Sometimes thoughts come after action. There's another study also. It's also in the sources below. In one study, they emailed half of the participants for help with a file conversion issue, and then followed up with an unrelated request to fill out a survey. The other half were sent the survey request directly. Some 76% of the initial respondents completed the 40-question survey, and only 44% of the others did. So their conclusion was, this electronic foot in the door turns out as effective as in a situation where the interaction is face-to-face or by phone. I think that's really, for me, it's very interesting. But it's important for you guys to understand the psychology behind how people go from doing something small to something bigger when it comes to the buyer's journey. And of course, you have the rule of reciprocity. Yeah, everybody knows this already, I think. But I scratch your back, you scratch mine. People don't like the feeling as if they owe you something. If people get something for free, they tend to want to restore that imbalance by giving something back. And reciprocity is something I think it's pretty deep in our nature, and a lot of psychologists think the same. And it's also how group behavior works, essentially. It's what protects yourself from becoming a free rider in a group, and free riders usually get expelled in a group after a while. If you're in a group and someone needs your help often, for example, it's also good to know he'll help you too when you need it. So I mean, we all have that, I think, like the feeling of being indebted even to someone that is, even if you walk by a musician, for example, I have it at least. If this musician is good and it gives me joy, I not only get joy, but I also get a little feeling of guilt if I'm passing by, because he's given me this joy, and I kind of want to restore that imbalance by giving some money sometimes if I think it's justified, for example. Doesn't mean the musician is doing anything bad. It's just that he's given me something that of value, and inherently in our nature we want to give that back, and that comes from the group behavior and being part of a group. And many people believe that you're gonna die basically if you would be in the jungle with a group and you just take from everybody, you take, but you don't give anything back, you're gonna be expelled. And so our nature is very powerful in restoring imbalance when it comes to giving and taking. In the book Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, which is actually a book I really recommend, he described another example of reciprocity, where a waiter increased their tips by 3% after dinners where they gave a free mint, and they were increased by 14% when they gave 2 mints. And if the waiter left 1 mint with the bill and returned quickly to offer a second mint, the tips increased by 23%. In Cialdini's book, there are loads of examples like this, by the way. But just keep in mind, tricks like reciprocity by itself help, but it's not the core of a successful campaign. It's just more of an explanation of, what are one of the reasons that lead generation is extra powerful. But of course, what it's all about in the end is the actual value you give, the problems you solve, how you solve them, the results you give, and the speed of how quick you can give those results, and the connection and relationship you have with your audience. That's by far the most important. But I just wanted to show you this psychological advantage also. It feels a little bit weird sometimes. Oh, I give you something and then they give me back. Don't do that. I don't like the idea of manipulating and stuff. But you have to give something to get something in return. That's the idea, and that's nice for them also. If you give them a free ebook, you're gonna spend money to advertise it to people. You're paying money to give stuff for free to other people. That's not bad. That's good, of course. So, and they can pay with that by giving their information, their email information. But anyway, another reason is why lead generation is so powerful is because you can get to know your audience much better, which will be completely the key in your campaigns and business in general. If you can find out how to tackle objections, how to improve your product, find your best offers, and get your messaging and story better, this is exactly what separates successful people from the unsuccessful people a lot of the times, in my opinion. And more about that later. But lead generation is both a short-term and a long-term strategy while tapping into the different market segments. Then another one that I like is controlled traffic versus uncontrolled traffic. So controlled traffic is basically traffic that you own. So you have a contact list, which is a list that you've gotten, you own it, nobody can steal it away from you. Compared to, let's say, uncontrolled traffic, which is like traffic that comes from Facebook or Google by itself. Like if something happens if you go, for example, straight away for the sales ads, and then and it goes well, and then suddenly Facebook disappears, something happens, your ad accounts get blocked, or the cost of the ads they rise very much, for example, for whatever reason, whatever happens. You never know what's going to happen in the world, right? Then you have a challenge, you have a problem. But if you have grown your email list, you always have this whole group of people that you can reliably contact for your products and services, or for anything. So that's controlled traffic. It's much safer. It's like a safety net. And email lists, they will help you for years and years to come. Like I've seen so many of my clients, and also for myself, some people, they become a client of mine like a year later even. And you're not going to regret growing an email list. The emails are worth much more than people think, simply because it sometimes they know that it's a lot worth in the beginning already, but they are worth more than most people think, simply because a lot of the people will convert much later. It's just that you will become the person to go to when they think of solving their problem when it comes to your service, basically, because you kept on contact with them, you kept on having a relationship with them, and when the time is there, they will think of you. So good stuff. Just a quick note, It's important to note that sometimes you do want to try and actually go for the sales right away if you think that makes sense. You can do both, of course, at the same time, but in general, testing is vital here, and just think about what makes sense for you. Markets change all the time, campaigns, ads, what works changes all the time, so it's vital to just use logical sense also for yourself. Nothing is black and white. For example, if you are already a known authority in your niche, straight up sales can work. This is because the trust factor is already there, and most likely if you are an authority in your niche, I never know if it's niche or niche, but you have also found out a way to tackle their biggest objections, like time and money. Pains and needs, you will also know that better when you're an authority, which you can then use in your messaging in your campaign. Also, direct sales can show you your return on investment much faster. So if there's cash flow problems, sometimes you might want to try sales ads just to see if you can instantly get $2 back from one. Most of the cases, it's not really going to work because there's just too many objections that so many reasons that people don't want to buy. Same like reasons that people don't want to marry you right away. They don't even know you. But in general, to teach you Facebook ads the easiest way, I'll show you examples of lead generation and take you by the hand from start to finish for a campaign. Because if you know how to do that, you will also know how to do the sales ads. Because they are basically exactly the same. I mean, when it comes to the technical part, I'll also show, of course, all the other stuff around the sales ads. But when you know lead generation ads, you will know everything inside Facebook when it comes to leads and sales, kind of, or most of the important things at least, which is why you got this course, hopefully. So, okay, that was the lesson number 2. I'll see you in the next lesson.